This is the Zone Football League.
Welcome back to another episode of the Zone In podcast as we talk Zone Football League across Newcastle. As always, I'm Mason, and joining me today, a new face beside me, but you may recognise his voice. It is Cameron, who has been one of the commentators of some of the match of the round games, some saying the voice of Zone League football. How are you, Cameron?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for the massive introduction. I personally haven't said anything like that, but, you know, there's whisperings I've heard.
The masses have, that is for sure. And yeah, touching on that, how have you been enjoying commentating these games?
Oh, it's been wonderful. It's honestly gone above my expectations. Sort of, you know, got the call, said, do you want to do it? And it was like, yeah, let me have it. And then every game since, it's just been, yep, go again. I'll be back.
Yeah, for sure. And like, we've obviously spoken, and it's not like your first time fully commentating sports. You do have a background in that. Tell us a bit about that as well.
Yeah, well, it is technically the first time I've dove into sports, done a bit of esports in my background. So, you know, I have done cars hitting soccer balls around. That's what I've mainly focused on. So I have a bit of experience with the round ball, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that's great. And but on the weekend, though, our match of the round, which saw University take on Mayfield, we had the ever-pleasant voices of Gareth Wazick and Chris Turner, CT, on the sidelines. Yeah, I guess we'll jump into that one to start off with. Very gritty 2-2 draw there. Both teams keeping their positions in the ladder with that draw. I'd probably say from my view, watching that game, probably a fair result, that draw, but both teams definitely had their chances.
Yeah, well, they definitely did. And both teams, I feel like they probably went home going, we probably could have got the win. There was a few chances laid on for either team to maybe snatch the result, but didn't get across the line. Two brilliant keepers on the day. I mean, they both conceded twice, but overall they've kept both of their teams in it. So the respect has to go to the keepers. And I know CT and Gareth love picking out Pickett for the uni team, but both teams are fantastic on the day.
100%. And maybe a bit shaky vibes at the start of it there. 5 minutes into the game, first blood going to Mayfield. Corner whipped in. Goalkeeper Pickett just knocked it out the way. But then Thomas Lasita, I've probably butchered that one. Sorry, Thomas. But yeah, pretty calm, composed, clean strike there.
Yeah, just got on the end of it, and it was really well struck. You know, there was probably a few people in the way that didn't quite get their bodies in.
Yeah.
It was just well hit straight through the crowd. And I mean, yep, you've got to say maybe there was a chance for maybe Pickett to get down, but realistically going through the crowd, you can't really see, and it was a really good hit.
Well, exactly, and as said, he made that first save just to parry it out. He would be hoping that his defenders and the rest of his team could then help him out, and unfortunately wasn't the case. But yeah, for the little while along then, nothing too much happening there until a berating run up that right-hand side from Sam Smith. And cutting it in, hitting it on his left, wasn't anything too special, but still a goal that he would be happy with, and I'm sure any attacker would be.
Yeah, well, he probably beat his defender twice. You know, he went one way, then he went the other, and got by him both times realistically, and just set up for the shot. And it was, I mean, the composure to really get yourself grounded and go, yep, I've got the time now, I'll hit it, was really well done. And again, I mean, the defense probably let the keeper down a little bit in that sense, letting the shot get away. But overall, it was a fantastic strike, as well as the first goal.
100%. And we did have the uni boys on the couch last episode, Sam being one of them. And I do have to put my hand up and say apologies, Sam, after giving you a bit of stick for lack of goals. And I did appreciate your celebration as well. I feel like that may have been directed at me, letting me know that he's now on 4 goals. So well done for getting on the score sheet and proving me wrong. So I'll keep my opinions to myself from now on, mate. Looking then at the half-time, both teams in the shed, 1-1. You've got to imagine both coaches, we've had both of them on the couch now, younger guys, seem pretty calm, but in a big game like this, because don't forget third and fifth playing off against each other. Both want to be in the finals and still very much playing for those final spots.
Yeah, and they're both deserving of probably being in the final spots. That's why they're there at the moment.
Yeah.
A result of a draw probably doesn't really do either team any massive favors, but realistically, they'll be happy with the fact they at least get a point. As I've said, both teams probably could have snatched the win. So in both senses, I guess, both teams are probably going, we're probably lucky not to have gone down late. They're probably both going, we're probably unlucky not to go ahead late.
Yeah.
So overall, a draw, I feel like they'll probably feel is deserving. But going into halftime, it was probably the same feeling as the full time we saw going. We probably deserve to be in the front. We just haven't finished on too many occasions. There's only been one goal each. That realistically, I think the coaches, I mean, without any expectations and any understanding of what they would have said, I would have probably gone in there thinking they go, we're on top here. We get a win for both teams.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess whatever Uni's coach Bowden did say in the shed obviously sparked him on then, because almost identical timing-wise to the first half, coming out in that second half, 49th minute, the head of the big man up top for Uni, Nicholas Forsyth.
Yeah, I mean, he rose well and got above everyone else, gets it away. And it was, again, really good attacking play. He went onto it. The cross was a good height for someone who was probably, a bit more elevated than everyone else around in the box. So he gets up and, it's a great shot in the end as well that he was able to put that away. But again, it's just that height advantage, and also the fact that he just, the leap that he had was just better than everyone else's.
100%. As you say, maybe the getting up to the cross wasn't too hard for him, but the job to, because the ball itself was going away from goal, so he still had to have that composure and the direction to knot it in, and also just not directly at the keeper either. He whether he picked his side or not, I don't know, but he definitely sent it one side of the keeper and bang Uni a 2-1 up. Still, you would think then, being that early in the second half, they're going, yeah, sweet, we're leading at the moment, but oh shit, we've actually got to hold on to this now, and knowing that Mayfield wouldn't be a team to back down. Yeah,
I mean, you go 2-1 up, you're probably thinking, yep, we can get away with this, but also they knew that Mayfield probably had a couple of chances in their locker, which of course they ended up doing, but it's also just, once you have that lead, I mean, I've seen it a few times over the games that I have covered, that teams come out quick in the second half and maybe don't quite get across the line at the end, which did happen in the game as well.
Yeah, exactly. And as you're referring to, then in the 75th minute, Mayfield's captain on the day, Sam Brain, just in a bit of a scramble in that box, got his, also a tall man himself, so just stuck that long leg out, and there's no better way to put it than just poked it home almost.
Yeah, you are right. Just got a bit on it, got enough on it.
Yeah.
Just, it was probably a decent area actually for the keeper to get down to. It was just, again, bodies in the way. You can't really tell where it's going, and just too much on it. It wasn't the most powerful hit, but it had enough just to get through and find its way underneath again.
Yeah, exactly. And the Harry Snitzel man of the match wasn't actually, I don't believe, announced in the coverage, but a name that hasn't been mentioned on the score sheets, but obviously the man doing the dirty work behind the scenes in that Uni midfield, Addison Tejas, just absolute workhorse. Whether, you see it forefront or he's just transparent in around everything, but he really was one of the players to really make that that whole Uni team turn.
Yeah, and I think Gareth and CT actually said on the day that there was probably 3 or 4 that they could have given it to, didn't end up giving it on the day, and then let that decision be made elsewhere. Which, a bit of a cop out, but it is what they've done. But realistically, you often see the Man of the Match award go to those that have been involved in scoring. And I mean, I said 2 weeks ago for the Curry Branxton game, I gave it to Straka. He scored twice. That's what I gave it to him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is just the workhorses that realistically make the team tick around. And it wasn't necessarily easy conditions either. There was so many slipping and falling over just due to the wetness of the ground. That if you can stand up in the midfield and really win your battles there, you get a result, which obviously, again, isn't quite the result they wanted. But without that workhorse in the middle, that was realistically what got them good chances going forward and breaking down the chances for Mayfield. There you go.
Yeah, Exactly right. So yeah, congratulations, I guess, to both teams. As we've said, obviously both would go home begging the question, maybe should they have won, but sharing the points nonetheless, keeping their places on that ladder. Looking across the rest of Zone League 1, though, you have the league leaders doing what they do best. Unfortunate for Hamilton Azuri coming up against the powerhouses on the weekend. Pardon me, Newcastle Croatia putting 9 past them to 0.
Yeah, well, I guess when you're towards the bottom of the ladder and you see that you've got Croatia on the weekend, it's probably not a great feeling. But
No.
then, of course, you go out there, you think maybe, hey, we can get an upset. Croatia just proved to be too good again.
Exactly right. Looking further along, then we have the Cardiff City game against Newcastle Olympic. Cardiff getting a 3-1 win over Olympic, which then allows them switching positions. So Cardiff now sitting in 6th with Olympic just dropping down to that 7th position then. Two strong teams there as we talk about those finals positions. Crazy that those two names aren't even in the finals positions yet, but still being such strong squads.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really got the chance to watch Cardiff City play this season, but I have seen Newcastle Olympic, and watching them go, you were going, yeah, this team, they're probably going to make the finals. They're probably going to look like a good chance at the finals as well, just the way that they played in. I think that was the Warners Bay Newcastle Olympic game that I was at. It was just a quality. There was so many assured players on the field that, yep, we've got this covered. That, yeah, you see a result 3-1 going against them. Cardiff City stepping up must have been a good game. I mean, to get the 3-1 result over them, yep, doesn't quite put them in the finals, but puts them in a dangerous position to launch forward for the last 5 games of the season.
Yeah, exactly right. And when you look at the past couple of weeks of the Golden Boot standings in Zone 1, you just see Alex Reid, Wes Price just sneaking up there quietly. So the two of them linking up top for the Tigers there. Obviously, yeah, propelling them along. Hopefully they'd be thinking not too late in the season with only 5, I believe, more rounds to go. So, yeah, they'd be hoping they can just power on and maybe have an easy run home.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked at who their next fixtures are, but they'll be hoping that they can get the results and just hope that other results go their way. I mean, if you do leave it to the last 5 games, that's the position you put yourself in, but they'll be thinking, we can get the result in the next 5. We should be a great chance of actually making it into the final, same as Newcastle Olympic as well.
Definitely, yeah. Looking then, Westlakes against Swansea, 11th versus 9th there with a 1-1 draw. Stockton Sharks going down 4-1 to Katara. I have heard Stockton drew first blood. They were ahead for a little bit, but then Katara just obviously coming back stronger and finishing stronger there. And finally then probably a little bit of a shock result in terms of this scoreline, the deficit, Warners Bay going down 6-1 to the Suns. Yeah,
I mean, positions on the ladder probably make you go, well, Suns are going to be probably comfortable, maybe not that comfortable.
Yeah.
You go maybe 4-0, 4-1, in that sort of area, then they chuck a couple goals on top of it, which Warners Bay won't be too happy with, and
no.
I'm sure the Suns will be ecstatic with.
Yes, 100%. Looking down then to Zone League 2, couple of a bit of an interrupted league, apologies. The Merewether Advanced Nelson Bay game being postponed due to the weather. Crowders Bay and North Wolves being delayed till Wednesday, as Crowders Bay did play in a cup game or plate game, against Northern Storm. Congratulations to them though. A 2-0 win in what I hear was quite a gritty game as well, hard fought. And yeah, really good to see them representing Zone League in such a positive way. And I'm sure they were rather sensible in their celebrations on Saturday night. Hopefully can be sobered up before Wednesday's game against Wolves in that makeup. Though looking at the other results, Mayfield United going down 9-2 to Cooks Hill. A pretty dominant display there from Cooks Hill. But Mayfield maybe just picking a silver lining there, getting 2 on the top guys of Cooks Hill. Minmai with a 2-0 win over South Maitland. That result especially shows how tight that middle of the pack is, with that win sending Minmai from 7th to 5th, so jumping them into finals. You then have Southern United, who go from 6th to 7th after a loss to second last place, New Lambton, 4-2. You've got to be asking questions. What was going on there? Yeah,
I've got no idea. I mean, to lose in a game that you're really going, yep, 11th, we'll have it covered. Southern United have looked good this season from what I've seen, so I was expecting that result to pretty comfortably go their way, and
definitely
that's a letdown for wanting to push for finals.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago we saw them against Crabs, just missing out on that win late there. Last week getting a tough result against Cooks Hill, who are currently 3rd. And then, hosting second last place. Near Lambton probably didn't want to even go do the drive to Foster, dreading that what Southern have been putting on display recently. But yeah, coming home with 3 points and probably one of their better scoring games as well.
Yeah, I mean, New Lambton will be very happy with that result to make the trip, get the win. It really is a positive thing when you can make that journey for these players that, probably don't really want to, as you said. It was probably on the minds of, do we have to?
Yeah.
But then you go down, you get the result, and realistically, that might be, obviously, with where they are on the ladder, that's probably one of their best results. They probably went home feeling great overall about that experience.
Yeah, and especially thinking with Mayfield just below them, not getting their result on the day, they'd be thinking, okay, this is one step safer to not being relegated then. So not only just a win and good scoring, but that bit of security as well now to play out for the rest of the season. And finally in Zone 2, then looking at Bulwarra getting a 3-0 win over Lambton Jaffers, who with that result unfortunately drop out of that top 5 into 6th now. Bulwarra obviously bit of a slump in the middle of the season, now well and truly back on track. 4th is probably not where they'd want to be, but I guess with the other teams ahead of them, when you look at Crowders Bay up top, then Wolves, then Cooks Hill, them to be in 4th, it's probably a fair position for them to be sitting in at the moment.
Yeah, and they'll be feeling pretty good about the fact that they've just pushed the team that was just below them, even further down below them. You know, it's just a bit of a comfort being able to go, well, we beat the teams that are around us, pushing to knock us out of the position we're in to get the result there. I mean, again, I think there's 5 games left in the season. They'll be feeling as though we can go on, get a couple more wins, couple more points from the last few games, and they should be pretty golden.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's definitely not time to count your chickens yet. No. It's still many different results. And yeah, as we mentioned just before, touched on how close that middle of the ladder obviously is when you look at the points and everything. So yeah, these games obviously and these results, not only for Bulwarra but everyone in that little bracket there, will mean everything, and you really have to fight for these points now.
Yeah, you take your wins when you can get them, and that's exactly what they did on the weekend.
Exactly right. Looking down then into Zone 3, a team that is progressing again late in the season, looking to push for that finals. Barnsley going from 9th to 7th with a 4-1 win over struggling Garden Suburbs, who now sit in 8th, just below Barnsley. Suburbs probably disappointed obviously with that result, with some of their other results not going their way recently either. But as I said before, Barnsley on the up at the moment. They'd be ecstatic with this win, not only, but then also, again, that scoreline's quite flattering.
Yeah, I mean, they jumped 2 positions in one result. They'll be thinking, if we can do that the next 5 games, then we'll be first.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to get there, but realistically, if you can jump at that rate, I mean, again, you're talking about in Zone League 2, the the midfield pack, you're looking there from going 9th to 7th in 3 points.
Yeah.
It sort of shows that that's also pretty highly contested, and they'll be feeling as though, hey, maybe we can go on and push for something. I mean, I've said that a few times tonight, but all of these teams, they'll all be thinking, let's just push the final push, win the next 5 games, and we're there or almost there.
Yeah.
At least they've done all they can to be in a great position, and I'm sure Barnsley will be going, hey, we got a great win there. We just got to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. Then looking at probably one of the more unfortunate matchups again, as like the Croatia and Azuri one, the league leaders Greta coming up against last place Fletcher, 5-1 win for Greta. Fletcher probably grateful that they didn't put the foot all the way on the gas, maybe, and it wasn't a big blowout, but definitely still Greta, especially after the previous weekend going down to Curry as you were at that game. They definitely needed and would have been pushing for this result to get their season back on track.
Yeah, I mean, they were really, in a way, I guess, flat-footed in the Curry game, that they really just didn't get going. It was not what I expected to see from the league leaders. And I actually said that, next up they go away to Fletcher, and that should be a good way for them to get their confidence back. And, they still have that 3-point buffer in first. So if they can get a win there, they'll be feeling like, hey, we've just steadied the ship. I was thinking maybe, we've seen some big blowouts this season, maybe 9-0s, could be expected. But I think realistically, that's a really great showing if Fletcher can hold them to 5, which, it probably doesn't sound the nicest thing to say, but realistically, you hold the league leaders to 5, you're probably feeling pretty good in the position that Fletcher are in.
Most definitely. And as you say about that 3-point buffer, they would have been eagle-eyed waiting for the result to come out of Curry versus Madawi. Curry, obviously, probably getting the harder run then out of the first and second coming into this weekend against Madawi, but thankfully for them, they would be thinking they got away lucky here with a 1-0 win over Madawi there.
Yeah, as far as I could tell as well, they got the goal in the second half. Not sure when in the second half, but going into the changing rooms, they're probably thinking we need a result. Yeah, and that's exactly what they delivered. I mean, probably for Curry, they'll be thinking we probably could have scored more. I wasn't there, can't tell you if they actually were thinking that, but the scoring form that Curry have been in this season, they're probably thinking we should score a few. Madawi, though, to be completely fair to them, have looked amazing when I've seen them, and that was, of course, a game that someone in particular may have been involved in that I did see Madawi play with. But that was, in watching that, I went Madawi, in my expectation, was they can probably make a run for second. They're probably, realistically, they're probably not in that category now after that result against Curry. But looking at that game in particular, that really felt to me like if Curry can get the win there, then there'll be the confidence for them to just push on. And both teams, Greta and Curry, both have a bias still to not play, I guess, as well. So, other results could bring other teams into the conversation, but realistically, it's going to be those two and both teams getting the result on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly right. And my interest when seeing this result would be like how tough it must have been for both defenders, like defending parts of either team, with the top end of both teams being lethal in attack this season. You've got Madawi with Phillips and Reynolds up top in the Golden Boot there, both with double figure goals. And then even better, Curry have 3 players with double figures for goals. So 30 plus goals across 3 players, your front 3, Curry. And then, obviously 20 plus goals with Madawi's front 2. I was just shocked there wasn't more goals, but I guess credit to those both backlines then for keeping it on lock.
Yeah, I feel like both backlines going into it might have had a little bit of a, oh boy, what are we getting ourselves into here realistically? But to get just the one goal in that, as you said, you probably go into that going, it's going to just be goals galore, 5-4, 5-6, whatever. But 1-0 again. It also shocked me. I saw the graphic at halftime 0-0 and went, what? It's that kind of expectation that there's surely going to be a lot of goals, and there just wasn't. Yeah,
exactly right. Other tight affairs across Zone 3 then, with Merewether United having a 1-1 draw with Charlestown. I can say from playing in that game, Charlestown just such a well put together outfit. We've mentioned it in the last time these two teams faced off against each other in the match of the round. Zach Lloyd just there pulling strings for that team, not just being a captain and a leader, but really just he's involved in every single play, whether it's up the top of the park, at the back of the park, either side. He's just absolutely everywhere. And yeah, I just sat up top. I just watched him run around, but geez, I do not envy my defenders having to keep track of him. But yeah, obviously very, very tight game. There not being a difference then to break these two teams down. And finally wrapping out Zone 3 then, Southern Lakes getting a crucial tight win over Rutherford 2-1, with obviously Charlestown and Barnsley being on Southern Lakes' tail. Whether they went into that game thinking how important those 3 points are going to be, but nonetheless definitely needed.
Yeah, I mean, as is with pretty much every other one of the zone leagues, it's always tight, and for these results really matter. And again, that's where it proves that, hey, if you can just get a little bit of a buffer below whoever's below you, that's exactly what they've done there with the 2-1 win. I mean, look, realistically, it also isn't great for Rutherford. They would have been fighting for a chance for the finals and then dropped down to 9th. And of course, there's still, a chance to fight back with points being close. But realistically, that's a game that you go, hey, we could get something. It's a 6-pointer, really. Yeah. And they don't get the result. They'll be pretty unhappy with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Just wanted to take a minute to thank all of our great sponsors of the Zone In podcast. We have Deploy Football, the leading developers and manufacturers of performance sporting solutions, not only just including our awesome balls, and also sportswear with all of our grassroots clubs in helping them design and produce amazing apparel. One of our other major sponsors, Solved Marketing. If you want your problems solved are the ones to go with. Helping businesses, brands solve complex challenges with ingenuity and creative solutions. Solved Marketing is our go-to agency for all of our marketing needs, and we cannot recommend them enough. And finally, Harry Schnitzel Joint. You guys know every week Man of the Match is presented with the Harry Schnitzel Award. Definitely go check Harry Schnitzel out. And we know that all the Man of the Match recipients have been so excited to get their Harry Schnitzel Man of the Match Award and get down to Harry Schnitzel.
Looking back now to last week, one of the newfound fan favorites of the podcast. I don't know if you've been following along at home, but yeah, the novice versus knowledge segment. Last week, obviously without CT or Wilso here, we had uni coach Bowden being the knowledge of the episode. But yeah, very tight in the results there. Only one apiece for myself and Bowden. Myself getting my point coming from the Crabs beating Northern Storm, and Bowden tipping Curry to get the results over Madawi then. So one apiece, total of 8 now. Yourself stepping in for team knowledge. Yep. How do you think you'll fare?
Well, look, looking at that, I would say that I would have got 2 points at least last week. So I'm feeling pretty confident, and I'll take the branding of knowledge on and be pretty happy with that. Yep. Don't think I'll live up to it, but we'll see what happens.
Last week, whether it was apparent or not, there was some bias and some agendas being thrown around by myself and Bowden. So more tipping with the heart than the head, it seemed. So maybe new tactics in for this week. Looking first at the game on Saturday, 2:30, Myers Park sees Newcastle Suns second place on 38 points, coming up against fourth place, 30 points, Katara South. Both these teams, big hitters. Obviously, only 2 spots separating them, and that by 8 points. Suns obviously getting that nice win, as we spoke about earlier, over Warners Bay, with Katara also getting those points against Stockton. So both teams coming in with a bit of form to this game. Obviously, at Myers Park, Suns bit of home advantage. You know, the Macedonian fans would really get around them. I'd definitely, if I was Qatar, I'd be nervous about that atmosphere there on a Saturday Arvo. What's your thoughts on this game?
I think looking at it, I would say that any result's probably possible just based on the form from last week.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I don't think there's a way you can go. Well, it's probably a way you can go against them. But for me personally, I don't think there's a way I could go against the Suns in this matchup. I think there's probably enough there for them to get the win.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to have to agree. I'll go the Suns as well there. But maybe like we touched on with the Madawi-Curry situation, both teams here, Suns and Qatar, their strike force obviously score goals. I can't see it being... Well, I would say it's going to either go one of two ways. It'll end up being like that game and just be one goal in it, or it could be a 5-4 thriller, just goals. But yeah, as both saying, we'll go Suns, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what this result is this time next week, as I'm sure it'll definitely be, as this segment is, a game to watch for sure. Next up, we have in Zone League 3, Barnsley, as we've mentioned already, 6th place, 21 points, coming against 9th place with 16 points, Rutherford, over at Taylor Park. Saturday 2:30 as well. Maybe not the closest points-wise, ladder-wise here for this matchup, but as we identified before, Barnsley making that push and a comeback, but I don't think you can count Rutherford out yet.
No.
There's only 5 points splitting these two from 3 positions. So Rutherford get a win here. They go on, keep getting a few more wins. There's nothing to say that they're not out of that finals contention yet.
No, they definitely could push on and get some results and really put themselves in the conversation. However, I don't think they'll do it this weekend. I think Barnsley's probably going to get the result and push on from their good result and go ahead and try to push that for that finals, which it'd be nice to say the same for Rutherford, but you've got to make a prediction, and that's my prediction.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So you going with Barnsley? I reckon it will be tighter than people think. Whether Barnsley just take it a bit easy, hold off until we've got to face the bigger teams, and Rutherford maybe then also just wanting to lock it down, maybe thinking if we can get a point out of this, it still keeps us alive. So I'm going to go for a draw here, I reckon. I reckon it'll be quite tight affair. Looking then at Zone 2, we have a bottom of the table clash, which sometimes is just as exciting as the middle or the top of the table clashes, because we're talking about Saturday 2:30 at Novocastrian Park. New Lambton Juniors in 11th with 9 points, coming up against 12th place, 6 points, Mayfield Juniors. Obviously only 3 points separating these two. If Mayfield get the points here, well then they're level. That brings in the relegation battle so tight coming into 4 remaining games then after this one. And New Lambton on the flip side thinking, shit, this is our opportunity to create the best buffer we can to not get brought down.
Yeah, there's a chance for maybe the heads to boil over the game, just with it meaning so much to both teams realistically. But really, looking at it, I think this is probably for me the hardest one that I'd have to pick. I think this is everything's on the line. The other ones you're going, there's probably still a chance for really either team to get into the finals or to avoid relegation. But for this, it's both teams. It's if you pretty much lose here, you probably lose that momentum and you go, well, you've just lost to your closest rival in terms of the ladder positions.
Yeah.
And you might not be able to push on from it.
And you said the word momentum.
Yeah.
You've got to imagine New Lambton coming home now after that win over Southern, having that momentum. But I'm actually going to say it might work against them. Just a rogue opinion there from me. But their focus may not actually be on the game itself and those points. They might just still be living off that high of like, oh, we're good enough to beat this team. We're going to go in and just wipe Mayfield. So because of that, I reckon Mayfield are going to come in hungrier and more focused. So I'm going to back the Juniors here.
Ooh. I was thinking I was going to probably go for Mayfield. But I think I'm going to go for a draw, just to keep it different
draw?
between the two of us.
Yeah,
I think a
okay.
draw, which is realistically the most boring result that it could be for this game.
Definitely, yep.
But I wouldn't be shocked if it's a draw, so that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, and hey, look, New Lambton probably not going to be disappointed if the result comes out a draw. Keeps that 3-point buffer still, and yeah, pretty much as you say, whoever loses this one is really up against it for the remainder of the season there. Also, then in zone 2, going back to the other end of the table, but still a close clash. Third place, Cooks Hill, 32 points, coming up against Bulwarra, 31 points in fourth. If that's not tight, I don't know. I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, I said that the previous game was probably going to be the toughest one to pick, but I think this is probably in that conversation as well.
Definitely.
I feel, it might just be me rooting for the underdog in the game. They're 1 point separated, so it's not really an underdog story.
No, not at all.
But I feel like I feel like there's just going to be that chance to flip the switch for Bulwarra to get the result and go a couple points clear over. Well, not clear, but a couple points doesn't really make you clear. But get that advantage, and I think I reckon they'll flip the table for this one.
Yeah. Obviously the weekend just gone, Cooks Hill's result was good. Obviously Bulwarra as well, getting that 3 points. But yeah, I reckon I'm going to go with you here. The Rangers are going to come down, really, really looking to put a stamp on this and let the whole competition know that they're here and they're going to be in finals.
Yep.
They're not going to go away. They're not going to just slide in fourth or fifth. They want to be there and they want to prove it. So yeah, I reckon Bulwarra with the points there. Finally, rounding off the tips here with our Bar TV match of the round, sees us Saturday 2:30 at Minmai Field. Would you guess? Minmai hosting Lambton Jaffers. Minmai currently sitting in fifth on 29 points. Jaffers ever so slightly just behind them on sixth on 28 points. So we just spoke about third versus fourth in this league. Now we're looking at fifth versus sixth. Between third to sixth there, only 5 points the difference between those positions. What a crazy competition, and so close to the end of this season now. This has got to be one of the most highlighted scraps of a season with these two games on the same weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great experience for both teams to potentially get that opportunity to feel cemented in their position where they are. But yeah, I mean, it does just show how quality the competition is. If you can go from that position and go, well, there's 5 points between the top 3 or 4 sort of area, then it's a dangerous competition to be in, and you can't take any game for granted, especially when you're playing against someone that's a couple points or just 1 point behind you. And this is, I think, again, it's going to be a tough one to call. I mean, it's a difficult situation. I'm feeling like going with Minmai just for the home advantage.
Yep.
And, I think, setting up and stepping up for match of the round, doing it at home. I don't think necessarily playing at home has been a key to teams winning on match of the round this season, but
True.
in this case, I think it's going to get them across the line.
Yeah, and Minmai as a club as well, one of the oldest clubs in the Newcastle Hunter region, let alone in Zone League. So they'll be holding a lot of pride, being able to showcase their club and their team for this match of the round. Jaffas have been on a match of the round game already early in the season. Against Nelson Bay, but it was that long ago, they might forgot how it feels being on camera. That game also wasn't commentated, unfortunately, so the commentary, just hearing people around you talking and stuff, definitely a different atmosphere than just your normal Saturday Arvo games that you play. Look, yeah, it's definitely a tough one. I'm gonna say that the Jaffas take the points here. They're going to go with no ill intent, but I reckon they're going to ruin the party. But either way, I'm sure it's going to be a great game, let alone a great contest between these two teams. And also just in the back of their mind thinking about the tightness of the ladder, not only what the result on the day means and means to their season, but also, just knowing that back in Newcastle, then the Cooks Hill Bulwarra game, that result can rock the whole four positions there. So definitely a lot more on the line than just their 3 points or the points in general in their game. So definitely Saturday 2:30. Tune in to that on Bar TV. As always, well, sorry, I shouldn't say as always because it didn't get to happen on the weekend, but Harry Snitzel, man of the match. Definitely for you boys having the opportunity to play in this game. Put on your best display, put your best foot forward, because whoever it is commentating, whether it's yourself, Gareth, CT, or Wilso, the boys will definitely be looking to reward the fairest and best player out there. As you said, sometimes it is the goal scorers, because when you're scoring multiple and doing it stylish, how can you look past it? But as we saw on the weekend, then the workhorses just behind the scenes, putting in the work, getting the rewards.
Yeah, I mean, it really shows that anyone on the field can get the man of the match award if they put in the effort and have a great game, which obviously you step out there thinking you're going to have a great game. It's a matter of actually getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it shows that, it doesn't have to be the goal scorers. It can be the workhorse. I've had a couple of shouts for goalkeepers, and CT's usually overruled me. But, there's realistically anyone on the field has a chance to do it, and it's just an extra little incentive. I'm sure there's enough incentive already for this game that, going, oh, yeah, I won the Harry Schnitzel man of the match probably isn't, the most important thing, but it's a pretty important thing for these players to step out on the field and aim to achieve.
Most definitely. And, look, we'll try and highlight as many players and as many names as we can, as you guys always do on the sideline. Just a great, and we keep saying this, I know, but great opportunity for these clubs, these players, to really showcase themselves, make a name for their club and themselves as players as well in a league that has been previously maybe overlooked, but now it's bigger than ever.
Yeah, it's a great chance to step out, and I'm sure everyone loves it, being able to get out there and play in front of the camera. It's a unique experience for, I'm sure, pretty much every single one of the players that, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them that step out and potentially playing in front of the camera for the first time, or, only a couple of times beforehand. And it is a good occasion. Even the supporters, they love getting around it. They love walking past and going, what's going on there, and having a chat with us. So it's always a great occasion when it's the match of the round. And I don't think you could have picked a better one to be at for the match of the round this weekend. Yeah,
exactly. And touching on that, I've been known to be a bit of a show pony, pretty boy. So cameras coming to my game is pretty natural for me. But and obviously, I said as well, Sam from uni throwing up the 4, he knew where the cameras were. So definitely as well, we've touched on with CT, bring your celebrations out.
Yeah.
Make it a memorable time, because you're on camera. It's going to be a memory you can keep forever, show the grandkids, all that stuff. So, make the most of it, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Lucas Straka with the somersault
Little
the other
flip.
week. You know?
Yep,
So,
that's
yeah.
it. I'm sure his coach would have been biting his nails, hoping that
It wasn't the best landing. I
No,
will
it
say,
wasn't.
yeah.
It was if I was watching that and I thought, damn, if I'm the coach, I'm pulling him by the ear and saying, do not ever do that again.
Yep.
But yeah, awesome. Well, that's been this episode of Zone In. Cameron, thanks for being on. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, hopefully we may see you a bit more. But if not see you in here, we'll definitely hear you on the weekends.
Yeah, hopefully.
Awesome. Cheers for coming in.
Thank you.
Cheers for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.
This is the Zone Football League.